The ACU women's basketball team finished a 3-game road trip with 2 wins and will return home to face Stephen F. Austin and Central Arkansas. We'll recap both wins for the women and look ahead to their home matchups. I'm your host, Max Preston. It's the Julie Goodenough Show right now. Welcome to the Julie Goodenough Show from the JMC Network Studios on the campus of Abilene Christian University. I'm Max Preston alongside ACU women's coach Julie Goodenough. Coach, you finally ended a stretch of playing 5 road games out of 6 to start conference, and you get 2 at home now, which is great. But I have to ask, after losing to Southeastern Louisiana, it was a tough, tight game. You go back on the road, you play HBU and Northwestern State, and you get some pretty comfortable wins. How did that make you feel about your team?
Well, this is the kind of team that you like the schedule to turn out the way that it did for us, just because we've got a lot of experienced players. We have like 8 juniors and seniors, and so to play 5 of your first 6 on the road seems kind of daunting before you jump into it. But actually, if you've got a veteran team, like they just know how to handle that. And now that it's behind us, I mean, it's awesome. You know, we've played all of the Louisiana schools on the road that we're going to play this year away from Moody, and now we've got 8 home games left, and so you know, we did take one on the chin when we went to Southeastern, but we just came back and regrouped, and we just focused on controlling what we can control. And at that point, the only thing we could control was our prep for Houston Baptist and just getting ready for the next opponent. And our players did a phenomenal job of that, just learning from our mistakes and just moving forward.
Yeah. So, you know, after those games, you know, I talked to Coach Golding after the Northwestern State game. You know, moving forward, you keep playing teams that you haven't seen yet this year. You get SFA, a pretty tough team on Wednesday, and then you play Central Arkansas, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, all teams you haven't seen. How do you just stay focused and keep playing well this season?
Well, I was explaining to our team after our game on Saturday at Northwestern State, we finished a third of our conference schedule. We finished the first 6, and I don't know why, I kind of grouped them like that. So we finished 6, we've got 6 more to go, and the only one that we're concerned about is Stephen F. Austin, because it's the next one. And I think if you look too far ahead, it's kind of overwhelming. You know, you start thinking about too many things at one time, and really the only thing we can do today, it's Martin Luther King Day. We've got a holiday. We've already put in some individuals this morning. We've got plenty of time to watch video and prepare and practice today for our next opponent. And so we say to our players a lot, just be where your feet are. And in a little bit, we're going to be in the film room. We're going to watch video, and then we're going to go out and practice. And we don't need to think that far ahead. I mean, there's so many things that could occupy our brain cells that we don't need to think about right now. So we just focus on today's practice. We've got 2 days to prep before Stephen F. Austin, and it's going to be a great battle at home. And I think the thing we've got to keep our players focused on is we do have 2 days we've got to practice, and we need success in practice. But they get really excited about playing at home, especially since we've only been here once in 2019. They're just super excited about playing in front of the home crowd again and just being in a friendly environment, the place where we work out every day. And so, I think the thing that we've got to do as a staff today is to just keep on really focused on what we've got to do today.
We will preview that game against SFA as well as Central Arkansas later, but when we come back, we'll look at the team's 2 road wins over HBU and Northwestern State. Stay right here. It's the Julie Goodenough Show. Welcome back to the Julie Goodenough Show. Last week, the Wildcats finished a 3-game road trip, defeating Houston Baptist 72-62 Wednesday, as well as Northwestern State 72-63 Saturday. So, Coach, let's dive right in against HBU. You kind of start off slow offensively. You get 12 points in the first quarter, 15 in the second. But you come out in the second half, you get 25 in the third, and then finish the game 20 in the fourth quarter. Was there a crazy speech at halftime or something like that?
I wouldn't say it was crazy, but we were in the first half. I don't think that we were reading the defense very well. We were getting some good 3-point looks, but we were just keeping the ball out on the perimeter, and so we did a better job in the second half. Trying to get the ball in the paint and looking for inside-out kicks. But I think that our players are just more shot ready in the second half than we were in the first half. The first half, sometimes the shots came open so quickly, we weren't really ready for those. But Dominique was super aggressive in the first half, and she got 2 quick fouls and came out, and that kind of stifled our offense just a little bit because she was probably the most aggressive perimeter player that we had. Michaela Mabry had some great looks from the three-point line and just wasn't able to connect on those, or that would have gotten our offense going as well in the first half. But the second half, we were able to play Dom the whole 20 minutes in the second half. And it's funny, if one player can excel in an area, sometimes it gives everyone else permission to do that. And Dom just had her mind made up to really drive hard to the basket at Houston Baptist. And then we saw Lexi Duquet going in hard for layups. Michaela Mabry ripping it going. Alyssa Adams, she ripped one from the elbow and drove in and hit some layups. And so there's kind of that domino effect. You know, when one player starts having some success, it sort of energizes and encourages the other players to do that same thing. And so great team effort in the second half of just reading the defense and taking the open shots.
Yeah, so you talk about Dominic Golightly. She scored 20 points in that game, but you also had 3 other players finish with double-digit scoring. To this point in the season, do you like how your team is spreading the ball scoring-wise?
You know, I think we've got 5 players that could consistently score in double digits, and we've had several games now where we've had 4 players in double digits, but I think it's difficult to guard our starting lineup just because they can score in several different ways, and so we do have some good scoring threats on the floor in that starting lineup.
Yeah, so against Northwestern State, you jump out to a pretty comfortable lead early. You're up 20-5 in the first quarter at one point, and then you keep, around a 10-point lead most of the game. I asked Golding this after the Northwestern State game, but how does it feel to play in a game that you're pretty much controlling the entire way?
That was a really good experience for us on Saturday because we did jump out to a double-digit lead after the first quarter. And just to maintain that, sometimes your players kind of get comfortable, like, oh, they look up, they're up 13, up 14 points. And you can't do that against Northwestern State. They continue to lead the nation in forced turnovers. And so teams are turning the ball over on average 26 times against them. And so down the stretch, I think we got a little bit comfortable and had some unforced turnovers that resulted in quick points for Northwestern State that kind of kept them hanging around. But really credit our team for maintaining pretty much a double-digit lead throughout the course of the game. And again, we had some good contributions from different players. I thought the rebounding was really it was equally balanced throughout our team. Alyssa Adams only plays 13 minutes and pulls down 9 boards for us. And the rebounds have really been a huge advantage for our team. We're currently 20th in the country on rebound margin. And that has been a little bit contagious too. It's not just the post players, but our perimeter players are doing a really good job blocking out rebounding and also crashing the boards.
Yeah, so as we talk about stats, Sarah Williamson, she finished both games 5 for 7 from the field. She continues to shoot well. She's at 62.5%. She's now cracked the top 10 in the nation. She's tied for 8th at this point, I believe. How has her efficiency really helped your team so far this season?
Sarah has, I think that she really feels a sense of urgency that like time's kind of slipping out of her hands right now. And she doesn't have very many more weeks left in her career. I mean, we're not talking about months anymore with her. We're down to just, weeks, and she's really making the most of her opportunities. She's been a good vocal leader for our team, and you know what you're going to get from her in the game. She's very competitive, really difficult to guard on drives. She's shooting the ball as well from the three-point line as anybody else on our team in practice, and she doesn't get those looks quite as much as some of the other players do, but she's doing a tremendous job for us. You can count on her to get about 2.5 blocks a game, and she's always going to pick up a couple of steals when you need those as well. So she's playing the best basketball that she's played as a Wildcat.
That's great. Well, Coach, congrats on the wins and now a 5-1 Southland Conference record. When we come back, we will preview the women's upcoming week, which includes a homestand against SFA and Central Arkansas. Don't go anywhere. It's the Julie Goodenough Show. This year has been transfer Lexi Duquet's first year with the Wildcats, and she's been a welcomed addition to the team. With Duquet, here's Owen Simpson.
Before you came to ACU, you played your freshman and sophomore year at Rice University, pulling up some solid numbers there. Now, you decided to transfer to ACU, and you were granted a redshirt season due to the NCAA transfer rules. Walk me through exactly what it was like being on the team but not seeing any minutes on the court.
Initially, I thought it would be just really hard and it was just going to be a tough year for me in general, but it honestly was one of my best years of basketball. I came back and I was playing for a coach that I really love and enjoyed, and I just kind of fell in love with the game of basketball again, because whenever you transfer, I mean, sometimes you just you feel a little bit burned out, but I had a year just to practice and get to know my teammates, and honestly, sitting on the bench and watching games, I learned more about the game than I probably ever could just playing on the court, because I was able to watch and just have a different perspective for the team.
Now, in your first season as a Wildcat, you put up some great numbers. You're averaging 11 points per game, 7 rebounds, and you're shooting 52% from the court. These last 4 games especially have been phenomenal for you on a scoring standpoint. Now, what has motivated you especially to come out every night and put out solid numbers like those?
Honestly, any night can be a good night for our starting lineup. We have a bunch of people who are putting up really good numbers right now, and so there's going to be some nights where they're guarding our guards tight, and so those games I know I have to step up and make the shots that I need to, and then just motivating me is just getting wins. I mean, our end goal is just to win games and win the conference championship, and so just whatever it takes or whatever my role is that night, I usually just take it on.
There are 4 players, yourself included, averaging double-digit points per game. What is necessary for a team to have that kind of success on the court?
It's incredible. This is the best team I've ever played with. It's really hard for other teams to probably scout us or guard us just because we have so many just really good players who obviously everybody's averaging double digits almost in our starting lineup. It just makes our team that much better. We have a lot of depth. We can bring in people off the bench too who can also put up numbers like that, and so it just makes our team that much more special.
So right now you're sitting at 12-5 on the season. You're only half a game back from first place in the Southland Conference. At this midway point in the season, what are your primary goals for you and your teammates to finish the season on a high note?
Honestly, we just have to take it one game at a time. Our end goal, of course, is we want to win conference championship, and that's been our goal since way back whenever we met in the summer for our summer workouts. But it's just one game at a time. As long as we get better with every single game that we play, I think that we can be pretty competitive in the tournament.
And those goals will certainly be at test again when you play Stephen F. Austin this Wednesday at Moody Coliseum. What is key to coming out with a victory in that game?
Well, I'll tell you, we're really excited about this game because we're finally coming back home. We just had a stretch of games on the road, and so we're really excited about being home this week, just getting back into school, just being able to sleep in our own beds and stuff. But we're excited about this game because we kind of played just the bottom half of our conference, and so this is a big matchup. But we're just focusing on ourselves. As long as we get better every game, I think that we can come away with a win.
We're back on the Julie Goodenough show. This week, the Wildcats will finally get to stay at home for 2 games as they welcome SFA Wednesday and Central Arkansas Saturday. So, Coach, SFA has proven pretty tough this year. They're 5-0 in conference to this point in the season. They're second in the league in points allowed per game. People would say they're a tough team, but what's your plan to overcome them this Wednesday?
Oh yeah, it'll be a great battle. Stephen F. Austin's playing really good basketball right now, playing probably better than anybody else in the league, and so it's going to be a great battle for us. We're looking forward to hosting them, to being at home the entire week, like what you mentioned, just to be able to, be in a set routine. Our players can go to class, sleep in their own dorm rooms, things like that. Mm-hmm. So we're excited about that. But Stephen F. Austin, they're very well coached. They do what they do, and you've got to figure out how to score against their matchup zone, how to take care of the basketball against their pressure back into their zone. It's going to be a great battle. They're shooting the ball really well. They're leading the league in 3-pointers made per game right now. Good defensive unit combined with a powerful offensive scoring opportunity or scoring machine as well.
Yeah. So Saturday you'll host Central Arkansas, but it's also a special day because you'll welcome back alumni that played for ACU. So just walk us through that day.
Yeah, on Saturday, January 26th, it's our annual Women's Basketball Alumni Day. We'll have some activities that morning before the game. Obviously, they'll all be at the game and be introduced at halftime, and then between the women's game and the men's game, we'll have a reception with all of our former players and their families, and they'll get to meet our current players and their families, and so it's a really fun day for us. We've also really encouraged our women's basketball alums to register their babies for the diaper dash,
yes.
which is also at halftime. of the women's game, and then another round of that, halftime of the men's game, where we're going to have some crawling babies racing across the court. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
It'll be a good
too.
contest.
We really enjoy when our alums come back to campus.
Absolutely. So when we talk about Central Arkansas, they haven't had as much luck as SFA so far this year. They're 1-5 in conference, but you can't ever overlook a game in this conference. How do you beat the Bears Saturday?
I have so much respect for Coach Rushing. She's been successful everywhere she's been, and they graduated probably, for sure, the best post tandem in the league. And so they've had to try to figure out how to piece this team together. And, they've dropped a few games early, but there's no doubt they're going to get it going. And they won the game before their last one, and they're always going to be a tough defensive team, so they're going to stay in ball games with people because defense is definitely an emphasis for them. They make it very difficult for you to get any wide open looks at all. And they've also experienced some sickness and some injuries this year. If they get everyone well, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, even though they graduated some of the top scoring threats in the conference. So you've got to be ready every night, and we have two really good opponents coming in this week. If you've missed watching our team play, please come out Wednesday night at 6, Saturday at 1 o'clock. Both going to be two really good games, and we would really appreciate the fan support.
All right, well, thanks for meeting with us today, Coach, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
The Wildcats are at home twice this week, and Saturday's game against Central Arkansas can be viewed on ESPN+. For Julie Goodenough, I'm Max Preston. Thanks for watching the show, and we'll see you next week.